Hi, and welcome to Christ in Crafting. I'm Lisa with Lisa Boone Designs, and I'm really excited today to have my very special guest, Wende. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we're going to get to the project. Go ahead, Wende. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Lisa, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited. I am more of a maker than a business owner right now. It's my dream. I'm moving toward that. You have held my hand through a lot of this, all the questions and the help. I really appreciate it. I
That's
live in
awesome.
Central Virginia. I'm a mother of three boys, so this girl time means a lot to me.
I understand.
Means a lot. My husband has been wonderful in the past year or two. I've been a crafter my whole life. I primarily deal in textiles. I'm a quilter. You can see my cabinet behind me. Most of those are what I've made. I teach it. I
See, I didn't
love
know
it.
that. See, that's why
Yeah.
this is so important. Okay.
And in fact, one of the first things I did was paint this cabinet to house my quilts. So,
That's
you
how
know,
the bug started. Okay.
it came out of need. It's like we didn't have a lot of money to buy something. Let's take what I have. It was my grandmother's china press from the 1930s,
Oh,
mahogany. So
oh, I love mahogany.
yeah, yeah. But it was chipped and worn, and it had seen its better days, and I had that
Listen,
heavy gloss.
yeah. Listen, I'm
So
all about
yeah,
praising all the things. You
so
know, like some people get offended. Like, why are you getting offended? Like, I'm giving it new life and it's still there. We're not throwing it in the
exactly
landfill, right? Like,
right.
yeah,
And the
that's
paint and
awesome.
the paint that we use is easily sanded away, unlike all the latex and things. So
I'm glad you
it's
said
it's
that.
yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and it just grew from there. I was working in a quilt shop when the shutdown happened, and I
Oh,
worked as we were delivering things through the door and doing online orders, but I just could not continue to work there when we reopened. I'm asthmatic, and masks and I don't get along. I do when I have to, but and I had a son that was diagnosed with diabetes over that time, an 85-year-old mother, and cognitive decline, and I'm caring for her. So I just started diving in, and I found you because you were a stockist for Voice. And I loved her tissue paper. I was playing with decoupaging. I don't know if you remember, the first thing I talked to you about was that church pew
the pew.
that I did for my pastor's wife,
Yeah, yeah.
and you helped me so much, and
Aw.
so we've developed that friendship through there. So
Yeah.
it's just I watch you, and as I would sit on the porch at night to get out of the house with all this testosterone, I would listen and watch your lives, and many of the other IOD and DIY and Dixie Belle stockists, and I just learned so much. So now I have this passion. I want to share it.
Yeah.
And so I'm still looking for what you have, a place to sell, but also a place to teach.
Yeah.
That's what I live for. Again, I've taught in the textile world quite a while. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I
anyway,
thought
sorry.
I thought you had already gotten a booth. I knew you were
Multi-thread.
looking. I knew that you were looking. I thought for some reason I thought you got one, but that is very interesting. For we homeschool, and right now we're doing home ec, and then the next half of the year we're actually going to do sewing because my grandmother was a seamstress and my mom would dabble in it, and I used to try, but I really want to learn that. So we may have to start asking you questions.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I am not a garment sewer. I'm a home deck and a quilter.
Yeah.
But I need
Well.
to show you something that I decoupaged with fabric.
Oh
I
yeah.
use I use vintage silk ties, men's ties. So
Oh,
cool. So
wow.
cool.
That would be
But
a
anyway,
great tutorial. We'll have to do another collaboration and then you
please.
teach me how to do that on a video. So let's go
Sounds
ahead
great.
and get started. But I will say that you were kind of introduced me, but I am a DIY paint retailer, Sweet Pickens Milk Paint, Roy Cycle Treasures Decoupage Papers, and Iron Orchid Design Stockist. And I'm in Madisonville, Kentucky. And I love doing all of this stuff and I love teaching. So I have a lot of playlists on my YouTube that you could subscribe to my channel. I would love it. And subscribe to Wende's channel. And then make sure that you follow this playlist for Christ in Crafting, because there are a lot of videos and I have special guests from all around the nation. And some videos are on mine. A lot of them are on my channel, but then some of them are on my friends. So make sure that you follow and subscribe. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's put our cameras down.
All right, Ladybug. Here goes nothing.
All right. So I'm going to tell, while she's getting hers ready, I had this block of wood. I buy these in 8x4 sheets, and then I tell my husband what I want cut and how I want it cut. And so this is a 12x12. And whenever I'm working on a project, whenever I have paint left over, I usually slap it on something. And I did that on yesterday's project, actually. And this one was one that I was going to do something funky with, and I never did. But I've got a lot of gold on here, and mermaid tail, and I think this is prairie gray, and I don't know what other colors. I think water lilies in here. There's a whole bunch of DIY paint colors. There's a little bit of pink even, petticoat pink. So what I'm going to do very quick, and I'm going to do a little bit of a whitewash as Wendy gets started. I'm going to use a little bit of white swan, and I'm going to, and this has been set for a while. So I painted this a long time ago. So I just took my fine mist sprayer, and I'm going to take a little bit of this paint here and put it all over just to kind of neutralize it a little bit, because I'm going to be stenciling over it. All right.
Gorgeous.
Taking a chip brush.
All right. Do you want me ready for me to roll here too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is really my practice board, and I was trying to achieve a night sky. So at this point up here, I started with a little black dress.
Okay.
And then I moved into, I'm sorry?
I'm going to be using that color too.
Oh, cool. And then I had to grab one of my Dixie Belle colors because I needed just a deeper shade of blue. So I grabbed Bunker Hill blue here. So they blend together. So just know, you can combine your paints. It's fine. So I did that. And then I moved down a little further and just did the Bunker Hill blue. And then first time I used it, oh my word, blue iris. I love it right here, because I wanted that brightness for the horizon. This is going to be a nativity silhouette, by the way. So I wanted this brightness right here, as if the city of Bethlehem, the town of Bethlehem, was backlit.
Yep.
And also from the star that's going to be placed here as well. And then I came on down and used in the navy for a little bit duller blue in the foreground. Does that make sense? And so this, I'm sorry guys, we were having issues. So this board is probably a good 22 inches wide, and it was like Lisa, a scrap piece. So I was playing with it. So what I'm going to do is pull out the project that's actually, oh my word, much longer. I'm repurposing. This was a saying that hung over my hearth for 20 years. Live well, laugh often, love much. And I'm like, you know what? We need something different. So that it also was crackled and it had a really high sheen. So I did use a bonding primer. Sorry, dog. There you go, Lisa. I got him too. A bonding primer first, and then I just did a light coat of a medium gray, so it didn't take me so long to get my darker colors down. So I'm going to start with that wonderful little black dress that don't we all want?
Yeah. So last year, this was a special release, a limited edition Moulds by IOD, and it was called Snowflakes. I actually never opened it up, but I knew you wanted to do a nativity, so I made myself a stencil, and I figured with the star, I was going to use one of these snowflakes. But
That's what I did.
Oh, you are? Instead of using clay, I'm going to use resin. So I'm going to go ahead and get this together. I think I have enough.
Yes, I have been desperate, as everyone else is, to I hope they re-release it. I hope there's not a proprietary issue. Don't say that. It breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. I'm not going to paint the whole board right now because it would take me for like ever. So I'm going to do a good portion so that you guys can see. I've laid down black. I've laid down the black, and we're going to use separate brushes for each color. I'm going to grab my Unreal Blue. And we're going to do a little blending of them together.
All right.
I'm getting my brushes a little wet here. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm spritzing it with my mister.
All right. I'm going to pour equal parts of the resin. I'm using Amazing resin, and I'm hoping I have the right amounts because I was at the end. I wanted to finish. I have another one that I can get, but I was trying to finish this one off. We'll see if I can open it.
So I was so desperate for that snowflake mold. Not as desperate as some people. Have you seen what it's going for on eBay?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And I'm not that, well, possibly I could be, but I'm going to say I'm not. All right, watch this, guys. I'm just laying down the blue and I'm taking it up into the black. Okay. And I'm going to clean my brush off a little bit so as not to pull the dark black down into the blue. This does not take long if you use colors fairly close in tone, because you want it gradual, right? You don't want these big lines of colors, so you want them close in hue. I learned to blend from Lisa.
All right, I needed to get I had to go ahead and get this. The other one kind of crystallized a little bit on me.
Now, blue iris is breathtaking.
Yes.
I love it.
I have it right behind me. I'm going to pour both of these in here. I have the table that I usually stage all of my stuff with. I'm just going to start mixing it right away. And I'm actually going to repaint. Hey. I'm actually going to repaint it because I've been staging a lot of my smalls and my signs on it, and sometimes it clashes. I have the Cubano stamp on it in white, and so I'm going to go ahead and paint it a neutral color. I think I'm going to do it with the Cubano stamp still, but I think I'm going to do it black and white just because it's giving me problems. And then I have to put something on top of it to cover it up.
Right, black and white goes with
everything. I love that blue iris color. I was never a blue person until DIY paint. And actually, right in front of me to the side is another piece that I did in blue. And it's got several of the DIY paint blues and then the Painterly Florals transfers.
Ooh. I'm working on a painted silver tray that I'm getting ready to do the Painterly on them. And I've got a stencil on.
I'm sorry, my dogs are acting up, and
it's okay. Mine too. Don't worry. Mine too. All right, you guys. So the last one I'm going to lay down is in the navy. Now the interesting thing is, and I know everybody knows, most of us use DIY or sell DIY. That when it's wet, it looks great, and then when it starts to dry, you're like, oh no! Until you put your top coat on it, right?
Yep. It comes to life.
It comes back to life. So my learning how to blend with DIY has been a challenge, but it's been so much fun because you get this aha moment when it does. But it took me several hours the first time to get the right, just the right tone that I wanted in blending. So I didn't get those exact lines that just looked awful. But I would just leave it on the table. I'd go do something in my house that I need to do, and I'd come back and go, wait a minute, and I'd hit it with another layer until I got it just right, and it worked great. Talk to me, Lisa. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Through all this, because I'm still learning. How long will DIY activate? Before it doesn't activate against something wet, reactivate.
If you don't, well, it takes a very, very long time for DIY paint on its own to cure. And it really depends on humidity and, and temperature. But, it will actually stay there where you can keep reactivating it for a while. I think I'm done. I think this is starting to We'll see how much I can get done here. Whenever I do resin, I just go ahead and keep going, and I'll make extra. Just because it's already setting up.
Oh yeah, you're right. Cool beans. Make them, baby, make them. Can everybody see the transition? Can you see the night sky?
Yes.
Right here. We're going to dry it real quick so it's going to get a little loud for a moment. Do we want to talk about why I did the night sky? Why I'm doing a nativity?
Yeah, explain.
Bringing this Christ into Christmas here.
Yes.
My husband is my messenger. He's bringing me my hair dryer. Thank you, boo. Heaven Came Down was what prompted me to do this. Emmanuel with us, yes, and we could go off in that direction. But it really, we lost a family member recently who was a beautiful believer. You know, she knew the Lord got her through everything. She's fought cancer, divorce, you name it. We lost her last week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank you. She was a dear woman, and she was a wonderful believer. I mean, she inspired me, but she was scared. She was frightened. And we're human. We're human, but it has intrigued me through the years as believers how we don't talk a whole lot. We're not taught a whole lot in church from the pulpit about heaven.
Yeah.
And what is to come.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is not our home, right? This is not our home. Yeah. We are sojourners. We are aliens.
That's right.
And I love country music, grew up listening to it, but there was a particular song like, I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to go today.
Yeah.
Because supposedly, you know, this was just the best time of, you know, my best life now kind of moment. And it used to never bother me. I never thought about it. And now it bothers me because I'm like, yes, I do. Yeah. Nothing compares to what heaven is going to be for us. And so this is about hope.
Right.
What's to come. And the verse that has stuck with me mostly, so I'll say it's my life verse, is 1 Corinthians 2:10, 9 and 10. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what the Lord has plans for those that love him. Mm-hmm. And if you move further up in Corinthians, gosh, what was it? I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it. But just to reiterate that, Corinthians 2, forgive me, here it is, Corinthians 13, 1 Corinthians 13, 12. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully.
That's right.
And it settles my heart. Gina and I, my husband and I did just a private study ourselves through a pastor named Chip Ingram. And it was about heaven. And he'd been a pastor for about 15 years. And his father was a believer, proud of his son, you know. And he was diagnosed with a terminal illness. And he admitted to his son, I'm frightened, I'm scared. Tell me about heaven. What can I expect? And it took Chip by surprise. And it made him dive deep to find out. And so we studied. He started off the whole series walking on the stage with this little at his podium with this little stack of books set beside him. They were books that he had in seminary, and literally like a minuscule pile was on eternity, was on heaven. Mm-hmm. And so he dug deep, and it was really, really good. I encourage anybody to look into that. But that's what prompted me to do a nativity. I've got we're going to use a stencil that says "Heaven Came Down." And I'm often and this is not out of the Bible. This is Wendeism. But I like to think that the wonderfulness that we do have here on this earth, the love of family and children, God's creation. You know, when you stand seaside or when you stand in the mountains and you look, the trees in our neck of the woods right now are beyond breathtaking.
Oh my
Like
God.
I've never seen them this pretty. I mean, like on fire. They're
Here
amazing.
too, yeah.
And yeah, and I looking at those things, it's like, oh, thank you, Lord. He's giving me that taste of what's to
Yeah.
come. It's
Yeah,
just a taste.
because
You have no true
it's
concept,
bigger,
right?
better, more grand in
Yep.
heaven, you know, and this is his creation. He created it, and it's because it's what he likes. And, you know, what people don't understand is that if we have our love here, you know, we're not about our Father's business. We're not focused on what he wants us to be focused on. We're here to share the gospel, to be a light, to lead others to Christ. That's our purpose. Everyone is
The
called
blessed hope.
for that.
The blessed hope. Yep.
Yeah, and so people think, well, what's my calling? What's my purpose? Your purpose is to tell people about Jesus. How you do that, you know, is by your gifts. So it's in the workplace. It's when you're quilting, you're praying over that quilt. It's when you're, you know, in the marketplace, you're shining your light and you're telling people about Jesus. You're not, I always say, you're not hoarding it. You're not hoarding Jesus. You're not hoarding the gospel. You're actually sharing it. This is still a little bit damp, so it's not really sticking. So we'll see how my stencils do. But this is a stencil I created on Cricut. She told me she was going to do Nativity, so I just did For Unto Us a Child is Born, because I actually have
Oh,
another person that's going to do Nativity, so I'm going to do something different with hers. But I knew she wanted a snowflake. I mean, star, so I did that. So we're going to see how this goes. If I don't
I'm not
usually
gonna.
have bleeding, but today you never know.
I know. I know. I played with mine. Lisa, have you had any experience with the Icon Art stencil maker?
I actually have stared at it and I've wanted, and you told me you got it, and I thought, man, that's exciting.
That
I
is.
I bought the chocolate tour a long time ago, and I had a lot of it. I was signed up to do things through them, but it just was bad timing, and I just couldn't do the workshops and stuff. So but I have a lot of those stencils, so I'm familiar with the concept.
Because I've got a silhouette, like you have a cutter too, and I
Yeah,
know I can make stencils with that. But you know, there's weeding and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I
yeah,
did get it. It worked beautifully for my first, which was that beautiful greeting door that I did for my son. That I will soon have pictures to send you because it turned out wonderful for their rehearsal dinner a few weeks ago. It was amazing, and but that's what I've used. I went into my silhouette program because they're SVGs
yeah,
and printed it out and then made the stencil. They're silkscreen stencils,
yes,
so you get more detail
yeah,
and they're amazing. So I'll show that to you. But I'm going back to my practice board and I'm going to do a night sky. I want to do stars.
yeah,
So a starry sky. So I have masked off the portion where the nativity is going to sit because it's not snowing. So I just want it up high, right?
mm-hmm.
So I used some of my newspaper to do that. And I've got some metallic acrylic paint
Uh-huh.
that I have handy. And I will wet a toothbrush and go to town. I'll get it wet and dip it into the paint. Let's see if we can get some twinkles.
Yeah. So I like to do the swirly motion when I'm stenciling, but this is not secure down. So where it's not secure down, I'm going to pounce it. I hate pouncing. I did a rocking chair yesterday. I don't know if you saw my live on DIY Paint yesterday.
No, I didn't.
But I did whimsical, and for me this is whimsical. It's not like, you know, I know a lot of the DIY, not DIY Paint, a lot of the Dixie Belle people are very whimsical, and
Yes.
it looks pretty, but for me it's too much. Like I wouldn't want that. But I did a Harlequin stencil, and you know, I've had a lot of people asking about stenciling, and they get bleed through, and there's just I don't know why people have such a hard time with it, but they do. But I'm glad that this happened to me because you know, it's just real. It's not always going to come out perfect.
Right.
And if it doesn't, you know, you can try to clean it up, or, you know, worst case, you paint over it, you know?
Exactly.
Sometimes that's just what it takes. But normally when I stencil, sometimes I go full-fledged. I don't even offload. And sometimes I don't even use a stencil brush, but I'm loving these JRV brushes. These are like the best brushes I've ever used.
Oh, nice. Is it a stencil brush, or is it
Yes.
one of those free tips?
Yes.
It is.
There's
Awesome.
different
It's like a flat.
sizes. See? There's even I have a whole bunch of, I don't know how many come in a pack, but my friend Rachel is a JRV stockist or retailer. I didn't sign up to do her stuff, but I have a couple of her things, and it's pretty impressive. These brushes are really good.
Awesome. Awesome. Did you see my fancy brush?
I
My
can't really see
my
it.
fancy toothbrush. My
Oh,
fancy
okay. Look at you. All right.
Okay. So that's what I use. Let me show you. I've got a starry night now. Let's see. I'm going to hold it up to the camera because I know. Can you see it? Can you appreciate it?
Yeah.
There we go.
I can see it.
Maybe
I have to
the other way.
look all the way.
Sorry, guys. It's just like the Milky Way. It looks really cool. So I am going to dry that. I am going to dry that. Bear with me.
Okay, you're fine. Oh.
So it's just a sprinkle. You don't need a whole lot.
Yeah.
But let me show you. My nativity probably is a little small for this particular piece of wood, but it also, I think, speaks to the humbleness of his birth. The rest of the world is kind of larger than life, and this was so. I guess I should show you guys. Do you see this stencil?
Yeah.
And it's got and it does have a little bit of tackiness. They have two types. They have this blue and they have purple, which is for textiles. And a lot of the artisans are using the purple because it's tackier.
Okay.
For their wood, because the wood being textured, that's where you get your bleed. That's where you get your bleed through. So this is like paper thin and sticky. So I'm going to slide down and put it where. Now look here. I want the top of it to be rather backlit. I'm going to use the metallic. I'm going to use the metallic for the stars and the angels, and the rest will be in silhouette.
Okay.
So I'm just going to use my little black dress. Before I did anything tonight, I did put a top coat on this because you taught me how thirsty chalk paint is.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of, it's not kind. So
it's not kind.
It's not kind. So, but it is kind. When you have a top coat, you've got some wiggle room.
You have wiggle room. Yeah.
Wiggle room. My star is sideways because I was just trying to utilize. I wanted it really long, so I just was trying to utilize this. So I'll turn it and reuse that in a minute. But I may even actually cut it, but just to get it off. But so I just rub it into place.
Yeah.
This is a really cool. And I've got not a brush, but a little rubber spreader.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So, and I'm just going to dip it in a little bit of paint. I'm going to use the top of my jaw. And we're going to hold our tongue, our mouth just so, and hope that we can bleed through as well.
Yeah. So I normally when I stencil, I only do one coat. I did more than one because I had so much metallic behind it that it was coming through. So
gotcha.
So that's why I went back with it because I want it to stand out from the background. But I love having textured backgrounds. This font did something really funky, and I didn't see it because I cut it yesterday or the day before, and then I didn't touch it till today, right before we went live. And the T, the part that goes, the cross. Anyway, it didn't come out. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to get a liner brush and I'll do like a fancy squiggle later.
Hello, got one myself because I know I'll have to do something, probably a little touch up myself.
Yeah. But I love the way this is turning out so far. We'll see. Okay.
The details that came out, it's fun when you after you expose it. These are emulsion sheets that are sensitive to UV. So the icon kit is actually, it's a UV lamp. And
okay.
so you print it out, on special, it's almost like vellum, the paper is, the
Okay.
film is, you print it out on that, you lay it on top of the emulsion sheet, you expose it to the light, and whatever was under the print stays protected, and the rest of it hardens.
Okay.
So you go and you rinse it out, and the protected part, when it gets wet, washes away, and the hard part stays. So there's like this, literally, it's a screen. It's a thin silk screen left behind. So I'm loving it. I really am looking forward to making some t-shirts.
Yes,
With
that's
it as
what
well.
I would like to try. Here's my my molds. One of the things that you have to be careful when you're doing the resin, and of course when you're doing lives, you're doing videos and the bright lights, you're not paying attention, and I wasn't looking. You have like 30 seconds to stir it, and then it starts setting up very fast. That's why it's called like fast cure. But look at it gives you so much more detail than the clay, which is awesome. Gorgeous. But see, it started bubbling up, which I knew when I was pouring it. But when it's first released, you can bend them, and you can, if there's something on there, you can break it off. You have that wiggle room to do that. Like this one probably didn't come out. Oh, it's not too bad because that one doesn't look so great on the backside. But you can use these for ornaments. You can use them for gift tags. You can, these are great to decorate with, and of course doing what we're doing. So they come right out, and this one is still pliable on those edges. But look at the detail. It's just
absolutely gorgeous.
When you have the fine ones, it's just so much easier to use the resin than it is to use the clay. I mean, you can still use the clay, just make sure you use cornstarch. But I really wanted to use the resin, and so I think I'm gonna do like this big star. So I do have some stars here, and I'm probably gonna add like something to it to make them pop a little bit. And I do have some more gold, so we'll see. But I'm going to actually probably add some gold to this too.
Gorgeous. All right. Hold your breath. Hold your mouth right. I'm peeling it away.
Oh, can you put it close up? Because it's hard for me
to see. Yep. I'm a little disappointed. I pulled my paint off. Now I'm going to cry.
Oh, no.
I did.
Well, everything
it wasn't the paint, it was the top coat. It is sticky, you guys.
How?
I did. I used a satin top coat like 2 days ago to let it dry. I am sad, but it has great potential. And I will.
You know what?
I will.
I know it's sad, but I always like it when something goes wrong because it's gonna go. Especially if people are watching, like they want to know, well, how did you fix it? Because that happens to me too,
Right.
Or what do I do when that happens?
I will sand it back, touch it up, and redo it. I will show you. I played on the back with no top coat.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna leave the top coat alone. I don't know why, because it's not crazy sticky. It really isn't.
Let me ask you. You said did you use Dixie Belle satin? Is that what you said?
I did.
And you let it dry for how long?
Over 24 hours.
Wow.
And we're not humid here right now either. So I'm not quite sure what happened. I'm very sad. I'm very
You know,
sad. But we're going to
a
continue
lot
on like it didn't happen.
I really like I've done it both ways, like you said. Like, chalk style paints, DIY paint is a clay based chalk style paint, and it is chalky, and but like if I'm inking or if I'm doing stencils, I usually like to do it right onto the chalk paint, or the DIY paint, even though you don't have that wiggle room. I've kind of have preferred it. You can, but because you can still kind of wipe it, and if you need to, and you can correct certain things, but even the only time I have to seal it is if I'm using a transfer, so before I can continue. So I put a
Well,
little bit
again, this is,
of golden rule. I'm not even
ooh.
gonna paint it, I'm leaving it white. I played around with resin and the DIY paint making powders, and that was a lot of fun. And I made some orange castings, which was super fun. I'm gonna do this, and I probably should have done it before, so hopefully I don't mess this up. But it is what it is. I'm gonna do it anyway. Whenever I
I'm messed up. It's all good.
whenever I clean my brushes, like I get some kind of a cup or container and look at all of the pigment in here. So this was originally boho blue, and then I put another brush with black in it. I think it was black velvet, and it came up with this dark color. So I want to darken up my sky a little bit. And so I am going to do this like a wash.
You're like a mad scientist.
Yes. And the thing is, I didn't bring the right cups. So whenever I do that, I do like to wet my piece first. And that's what I did before. I did it, and then I had a wet shop towel, and then I took off. But I didn't want so much. Like, you could still see the blue, and you can still see the other colors, and I liked that, but I didn't want so much of it. All right, I'm going to use my stencil brush because I don't have another brush. So I'm just...
Okay. So the stencil for the star did much better.
Okay.
I'm going to use a liner brush. I got just a couple of touch-up. I got a couple of touch-up places to do here. So that's a lesson learned. What it is I didn't want it to mess up. So
right.
I was what's the word I'm looking for? A coward. And
oh no,
and
no. You
didn't
were experimenting
trust
and testing.
myself. So I'm going to be braver next time and just go on the chalk paint, and then because it certainly worked well in the back, I'll just go on the chalk paint and then seal it later.
Yeah.
I was trying to have some wiggle room, but it didn't like me. But I love that, and I'll offset it. And then I have this, and I know the text is going to be reversed, but it says "Heaven came down." So
yeah, I love that you had chose to say that.
Have you heard about that song, the actual hymn?
The what?
The hymn "Heaven Came Down" and
Girl,
glory
I
filled
wasn't
the
raised in
soul.
church, right? And I'm not a hymn girl.
See the
I don't
carrier,
know
by the way?
hymns unless my church sang it and jazzed it up. Like, that's not me. That's my husband. He was raised in church, in the South. Remember, I'm a New Yorker.
Yep.
That's now, been here in the South. Well, I don't even consider Kentucky South. They consider it South. It's really not. But I was in South Carolina for 16 years, and so that's where I got saved. All right. So look. So see how I darkened the top with that glaze?
Oh, Lisa, that looks awesome.
Thank you.
Beautiful,
You just
beautiful.
never know. You never know. But I wanted to play with it because I could always lighten it back up, or I could just take another wet rag and I could take it off. That's what I love about DIY paint. I have used Dixie Belle before. Before I became a retailer, I tested all of them, and I painted several pieces. I have a piece right here next to me that I did in Wise Owl. Wise Owl is not easy to wet distress. I was like trying to distress. Dixie Belle is probably second, but literally DIY paint to me, it's the best paint for me because of how I like to paint. And I actually ruined a very expensive brush using Dixie Belle because I had gotten so used to DIY paint that I don't have to wash my brush. And I learned the hard way. You can't do that. You can't do
Let
that.
me tell you, that is my most favorite thing. Do you remember years ago when they probably still have it, but at one point, when I was really young, because I'm almost 60, you worry about the face and you want to be beautiful and you want to do this and you use those clay masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
did
how
it.
your
I've done it.
face feels like a baby's butt. It's so smooth and soft
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
finished. And that's exactly what my brushes felt like when the first time I washed them after using DIY.
Yeah.
Game changer. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, you don't have it,
Yeah.
it's highly pigmented, so it takes
Yeah.
a little while for the rinsing. But when it does, man,
Yeah.
it treats your brushes so well. Hey
Yeah.
guys, look. My text stencil came out gorgeous. I used the metallic.
Oh. Wait, let me put it up a little bit so I can see it a little. Oh wow, I love it. My light is so bright, so it's in my eyes, and
Got you.
I
So that
love
turned
it.
out
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I not being able to get the snowflake of my choosing, I turned to other options and
Okay.
I used a mold to make this one. You
Okay.
see this? Here
But
we go.
there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
So I'm tempted to put it here to give some
Oh
dimension.
my gosh, yes, that's a great idea. Yes, do that.
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
So I made that early in the day. Can I show you what okay. It's another silicone mold and it has 3 of them to be remain nameless, but I was desperate, so I'm covering the name. Okay.
Okay.
So there's that mold. So just like with you, use the cornstarch, put it in there, pull it out, and I just wanted it to dry for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will probably paint this white or a soft off-white and glue it down. And then once it's dry, come back with that metallic silver again and
Yeah.
highlight it.
See, I almost did silver, but then I thought this board had a lot of gold and I knew it was going to come through. So that's why I didn't even paint it. I just put the gold, and I'm just taking, my favorite glue is Type Bond glue. It's
Yes,
white
me
but
too.
dries clear. And so I'm going to do it so that it's lined up to my manger.
I got you, girl. Right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to press it down. I've got way too much glue. So what I'm going to do, it's busting out the seams. I'm going to clean my gold brush, well, my cheap brush, and I'm going to go ahead and wipe it off with my brush. And it's not going to matter once I top coat this. And you can still see some of the white, and it's more sheer. I didn't want it like all the way gold. So I like the way that looks. And
it's
even
more,
with clay, you want to make sure you get it in there. But because it's resin, I can actually press it down pretty hard. I'm not going to hurt anything.
right. This paper clay has been drying probably since around 10 o'clock this morning, so it still had flexibility.
Oh, okay.
So I can, but yet it's holding up to me pressing it down. Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Now, if I were to do this again, one thing I like to do, with especially like with my like angel stuff I like to do like a light coming down, like a whitewash. But if I were to use a different board, I would do that with this so that it looks like there's like light coming on here, or maybe light
Yep.
going out or something like that. But I think I can't do it. But I would have liked to have done that. I didn't think about it.
I've got the rays coming, with the stencil, and I think I'll continue. I'll go back in and lay more, like you said, so that
Yeah.
the lights are coming down.
Yes.
Because I think if nothing else, it's all about layers.
Yes, that's exactly. I'm going to clean this glue off. So what's cool is like, you know, I've got all of these snowflakes kind of ready to go for whatever I want to do. And I usually keep I have a little box. The letters are so much easier to do with resin. So I have like a box of all kinds of letters and numbers, and it just makes it ready to go. So I highly recommend that if you are going to do resin. I'm actually going to start selling the resin. Where I was getting this, they don't have the 16 ounce. So they have 8 ounces in stock, and I was debating, do I want to wait for the 16 ounces to come in, or do I just want to get the 8 ounces? So I might just go ahead and place my order to get it started, and only have the 8 ounce, which might be good. If you're only doing a few things here or there, you might not need 16 ounces of resin. But, so I'm going to have that pretty soon on my website, which all of the products that I'm using, you can get on my website, lisaboondesigns.com.
Where I get my stuff.
And do what?
I says where I get my stuff.
Yeah. Or you can, it'll be in the description as well. So what I'm going to do is, so this is a cut board. So it has raw edges. And what I like to do is I like to either paint them black, white, or gold, just depending on what I'm doing. And I think for this, it'll look better black. And,
yep.
You know, it'll just finish it off. So all I would do for this is I put a little hook, a hanging hook in the back. And once this is nice and sealed with black, and I'll have to sand down a little bit of these edges, this will be ready to hang. And, you know, this is a great gift for someone, or just, you know, to remember the reason for the season. Keep your eyes on the prize, you know.
You got it. You got it. I'm gonna.
And materialism and Santa Claus and Christmas trees. Like, it's not about any of that, you know. Our life, and it's not just about Christmas either. You know, it's really about Jesus, having a relationship with Jesus. That's the main goal.
You're exactly right. The biggest gift my husband and I ever gave each other was to decide not to do gifts anymore for Christmas.
Yeah.
And it really took that, what's the word I'm looking for? Emphasis off of that and running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Yeah.
You know, is it enough? Is it good enough? You know, and, you know, we do for our kids and things like that, and charity and what have you. So it was very life-changing for us. To do that, because it helped us focus on what it was instead of the materialistic aspect of it. Yes. Hey, by the way, these stencils are reusable, guys. I'm just gonna watch them.
I was gonna ask you that, because I know the chocolate tour were reusable. So I might actually have you make me a couple.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that would be kind of cool. Because I toyed with the idea of it, but you know, it's hard to have all the things, and am I really going to use it? You know, it's an investment.
You're really well versed. You're really well versed in making stencils with your vinyl. Yeah. So, you know, I mean,
and sometimes I don't even use it for a while. You know, like I'm like, that's why I'm like, do I really want it? And I have all those chocolate tour stencils that are sitting there. Some of them I've never even used.
Right. I got some, I think of Maker Studios, who I've gotten.
Oh, yeah.
And
their stuff too.
Right. I like a lot of that. But again, you know, I've used some until they wear out, because they do. They don't last forever.
Yeah. But you can get like 10 uses if you're good to them.
Yep. Right.
It's just kind of nice, especially if you're a maker and you have a booth.
Exactly. So it opened up. I knew it would open up more things for me to be able to do that. So
do me a favor. Go like this with your project.
I want to take some of the trimmings. I want to take some of the trimmings molds and make a frame. on
Ooh.
this because mine's like the same thing, cut wood as well. And so I'll probably come in and just use the darker blue. I won't do it black, and then probably also do a little bit of the silver on top like you did with the gold.
You know,
But
I like it
my
like
poor,
that. I
oh
really
my
like
gosh,
it. I think
it
I love the trimmings, but I actually really like it.
just plain
Yeah.
on my girl
Because you
on
know what? Sometimes simple and it's you know,
the
sometimes it's
simplicity.
best.
Yep.
Sometimes more is more.
My favorite color is glitter.
Yes. See, you know, add some glitter on that star. I
I'm
thought
just
about it. I actually did think about it. But then here's a good look at mine.
so pretty, beautiful,
So,
and it was very different from what I did. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. See, I say it every time. We can all have paint, have molds, have IOD, have all the stuff, and we'll each and I knew you were doing a manger, so I did. It's all going to be different. Even if we had the same exact stencil, we would do it differently. And that's what I
Exactly.
love. I love that. God made us all
Yeah.
unique and special, and we were all born to be creative. And he wants us to enjoy that process of, not that we can actually create, because he is the creator, but we can replicate and we can play in that creativity and tap into it because he made us to be like him.
You did. If you look at Psalms, there is art in heaven. It's
Yes.
music, but it's still art.
Well,
It's the one art that
look
they
at the
talk about.
colors.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all
exactly.
artistic, you know?
It is.
Like he is
I
so,
think
and
that's
then the
what
sunset. Oh my God, the sunset today was
gorgeous.
incredible. And then when you see the trees, we came home and I was like, Ari, oh my gosh, this is absolutely beautiful.
It's the prettiest I've seen our trees here in a long, long time. It's breathtaking.
Yeah.
I had to take my son to an early band practice, like 7 a.m. I had to drop him off at school this morning to prepare for a Veterans Day program. And I was driving home all by myself and I had worship music on and it was just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I had my moment.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. And that's what he says, like all creation sings, all creation shouts his praises. Like, even if you never heard the name of Jesus, if you just look and really look, you can see his imprint. You can see his, creation, that there is a creator and he made it all for us to enjoy, you know? So he's
I
such a great
enjoyed
big
this.
God. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad that you said yes. And
Thank
I
you.
love your project. Absolutely love it. And I'm so proud of you. I really am.
Okay.
I'm so proud of you.
You've held my hand for, it's like 18 months, Lisa. I mean, when you look back to when I first reached out to you and then to know
It's
that we
been
were
longer
very
than that. It's been
like
longer than 18 months when
it,
you bought that vintage, you bought the vintage florals or floral, whatever,
yep,
for
yep.
that pew. It's been longer.
Oh, yes,
'Cause-
probably.
yeah, but
Closer to 2 years, probably then. Yeah.
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 So it's been fun. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit that playlist in the description and watch all of the videos. During the marathon, we'll be uploading videos daily. We had a few hiccups with technology, but pretty much every day there'll be another video, and several of my friends will be joining me. So make sure you like and subscribe to their channels. And if you're watching on Facebook, because we're sharing this out there as well, please be sure to like their pages, like the video, comment, and let us know what you thought about it, because that actually helps our businesses and our channels to grow. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to being on here tomorrow.